The depths of the sea hold ancient treasure. A treasure of infinite jewels, of unimaginable colors and shapes. These are coral reefs, a particularly special teeming ecosystem with a huge variety of living jewels. These underwater marvels are rather demanding when it comes to settling down. Not just any place will do. Coral reefs can be found in a number of places on Earth, but they will only grow in very strict conditions. Only the warm seas meet the needs of the corals. The most important thing is that the temperature should never fall below 18 degrees centigrade, for coral shrinks if temperatures vary by more than 3 degrees. Other than that, they do not ask for much. Just crystal clear waters with plenty of light. Coral reefs actually grow and flourish in seas that are deficient in nutrients, far from muddy river water or the currents of the ocean depths. This very strict way of life is necessary in order to ensure that the algae that live with the coral remain healthy. These algae live in the webs woven by the coral polyps in the calcium skeleton and underneath the body of the coral. An intense friendship, or symbiosis, exists between the algae and the coral polyps. The polyps provide shelter, protection, and food for the plants. The algae, meanwhile, give them color, oxygen, and other essential elements for building the enormous skeleton. It is this relationship between the algae and the coral polyps that gives rise to the extraordinary cities of coral, better known as coral reefs. But what are coral reefs, and who builds them? They are constructed by thousands of millions of tiny architects. These ingenious little architects are polyps, invertebrates that work to form a protective structure in which to live. Each little polyp looks like a flower with tentacles surrounding its mouth. Its body is able to gather the dissolved calcium in the sea and build it up around itself. In this way, it constructs hard, rigid structures which grow by about a centimeter each year, gradually forming coral reefs. The area around the reef teems with life, forming a miraculous aquatic kingdom of diversity where all creatures appear to be related in some way. It is thought that the world's coral reefs are home to at least 500,000 species. In addition to the dazzling variety of corals, there are fish, mollusks, sponges, crustaceans, and countless numbers of small creatures. But above all, corals provide refuge and good food. In the reefs, there is stiff competition for food and space. What's more, predators are often on the prowl, attracted by the variety of food to be found there. That's why the best survival strategy is to practice self-defense or pass unnoticed. Coral reefs are home to a set of creatures that have spikes, toxins, poisons, strange body shapes, bright colors, or shapes and colors to help them pass unnoticed. There are fish that never stray more than a few meters from the corals, and others, such as clownfish, which live among stinging anemones. Anemones have glands that secrete a stinging, paralyzing venom, which protects them from predators and allows them to kill smaller creatures for food. The skin of the clownfish secretes a substance that prevents the anemone from discharging its lethal venom, allowing them to live unharmed within its tentacles. The reef provides protection and shelter for an enormous diversity of fish. Many of them hide in the caves of the reef or under the corals. Many of their patterns act as a warning in order to mark out territory, because in the corals, there is such tough competition for space. Each animal bears its own flag, a kind of announcement to show that others are entering an area belonging to another creature. The vast submerged coral cities have clear demarcations, as if they were separate districts. Each area has its own particular inhabitants. Those sectors of the reef facing the sea are continually exposed to the force of the waves. Masses of dead coral accumulate at their base. Further in, cracks in the reef mean that water can reach calmer areas. These fringes are home to several communities. Algae occupy areas where there are strong currents. They are able to withstand the force of the swell and absorb some of its energy. Anemones and large corals predominate in calm, shallow waters. Countless numbers of species in search of tranquility make their home here. Corals are as hard as concrete. Yet many animals have jaws and beaks capable of gnawing it and destroying it little by little. The algae that shelter in the skeleton of the coral are a popular food with everyone. Sea turtles are frequent visitors here. Their tough, horny beaks allow them to tear the surface of the coral and graze on its algae. But the reef also provides a place for them to preen. In order to clean themselves, they seek out narrow crevices in which to rub down their carapace and get rid of any parasites and algae. One session leaves its shell looking as good as new. The reef has something for everyone, and some creatures have very curious rituals. These shrimp clean the teeth of the moray eel. If it wanted to, the moray eel could swallow its cleaners up in no time. But in the end, it would lose out if no one cared for its mouth or its sharp teeth. Coral reefs are highly complex. They are magical cities with a double life. By day, the algae work at full capacity, creating chlorophyll and providing food. When the sun is high in the sky, shoals of fish graze on algae or eat the waste produced in the reef. Lower down, in the calmest and darkest part, are groups of sharks, seemingly asleep. During the day, the sharks of the reef remain motionless on the bottom. When seen like this, they appear harmless. By night, the coral polyps take over and become fully active. The corals, which appeared to be bare skeletons, are covered with discreet inhabitants. Each polyp spreads out its tentacles and moves them around vigorously in order to capture the particles that float in on the currents. They perform a strange hypnotic dance to the rhythm of the swell. The night brings other nocturnal creatures too. Fish emerge from between the crevices, waiting for darkness to fall so that they feel safe. But this is also the time at which the white-tip sharks come out. They hunt their prey during the night. They often move in packs, meticulously inspecting every corner of the reef. Few creatures escape their tenacious hunt. Fish, octopi, and spiky lobsters. None of them are spared. When the sun rises, the coral kingdom glitters again. A quarter of known marine species live here. Between them, they form an outstanding aquatic treasure that is one of the richest and least understood places on Earth.